Hello, everyone. If this thing is telling me that we're live right now, then hello for the third consecutive stream this week after posting no content for months. But I've been wanting to change that this year, so I just figured the easiest thing to start doing would be these streams. And for the final stream this week, I am going to be ranking every theatrical Disney and Pixar film in terms of animation. And I'm going to be honest, it was very hard finding an actual list that had everything, because there was probably like 6 different lists. I went on Tier Maker and they were either missing like 5 movies or they were missing a few others, but this is the one that I think has all of them. I mean, this person also went the extra effort of putting like every straight-to-DVD sequel in here too, which I'm not going to do. I'm just going to be doing the I guess the canonical main 50-plus Disney animated films plus every theatrical Pixar film. And I'm going to actually see if I can rank this in a way that is closer to how I've seen other people do it, because when I do tier makers, I just put films in the rankings that I put them in. I don't put them in actual order of what I think is best in that line. Like, I don't say, this is the best B-ranked film, and this is the lowest ranked B-ranked film. No, for the most part, a lot of the time, I just put them all together in one category, because I don't want to take the time to have like 30 or 40 shows or movies and try to determine what one's better. For me, it's just, this is a B, this is an A, this is a C. So, getting this started, I also have some music playing in the background. Tell me, I guess, if it's either too quiet or too loud. I actually don't, because I listened to it earlier and my computer said that it was not overpowering to my voice. But, I mean, if you guys can give the heads up on if the music's too quiet or too loud, just let me know. But getting started, yeah. I also had to rearrange this in closer to chronological order because a lot of this was incredibly random. So this might not be one-to-one accurate to chronology of release, but I got as close as I could remember. So with the first film with Snow White, I guess Snow White to me is not a great movie, but I'd say I don't really like putting movies high based on legacy. Legacy to me has always been something that's been more something that just kind of, I don't know, I've just never really enjoyed putting things under a legacy category, because I just feel like some legacy things aren't as great as I think some other people hold them to, or I think they've kind of dated. Snow White to me is a decent movie, but I do not think it's amazing. I mean, it's also one of those things where I don't think I've ever seen anyone say Snow White is like one of the top 10 best Disney films. So I would say I'll put it in B, but it's a low B. And for Pinocchio, I actually hadn't seen Pinocchio for a while, but last year I rewatched it with the Del Toro movie coming out. I do still really like it. I don't think it's like top 20 best Disney movies. I actually find it interesting. It's one of the only Disney films to have 100 on Rotten Tomatoes, which I was kind of surprised about that, because I would have assumed Snow White or maybe like a couple other movies would have fallen under that. But yeah, no, Pinocchio I think is the only mainline Disney animated film to have that high of a score. So, as for Pinocchio, I'm going to put it in B. I like it. I do like it much more than Snow White. It's very, even now, it's still a very creepy movie. I'm actually very impressed how disturbing that movie still is, even when I'm nearing my 30s. I remember as a kid, there was actually one part in that film that used to scare the shit out of me, and it did for a long time. It was the child catcher, the guy who ran Pleasure Island. That scene with him and Honest John, before they actually go to Pleasure Island, that devil smile that he makes always would scare the shit out of me. And I remember I used to fast forward that on the VHS like every time that part happened as a kid because I hated it so much. And I remember as an adult, I like hadn't watched it for a long time. So I had like gone back to it years later and I was just like, oh God, I still hate that. Yeah, no, Pinocchio, it's a great movie. I think it's very charming. It's a great looking movie, especially for a second studio film. Yeah, I'd say that is a B. And Fantasia. Fantasia's a movie I don't watch a lot. I don't watch it a lot, but I really do appreciate it. I think it's a gorgeous movie. Again, for a very, very early film, it is amazingly abstract. Like, with the amount of shit that they were able to do in that film visually, especially with a lot of the colors, it is a beautiful movie. I'd say, like, my one problem with Fantasia, and I know some people who say Fantasia is a very boring film, and I can understand that. Fantasia, to me, my only problem, I do like it more than Pinocchio because of just how gorgeous the film is and how just it's very unapologetically dark. And Pinocchio's a very dark film too, but Fantasia just goes, for the time it was made, I'd say it goes probably as far as it could go, especially with some of the subject matter in the film. But yeah, no, I'd say my one problem with Fantasia is I think it's a little too slow. I don't know, I've just always thought this movie has a bit of a pacing problem, and I guess you can also toss that up to the fact that it is basically a concert film. But yeah, no, I'd put that above Pinocchio. Dumbo. I do not think Dumbo holds up that great. Like, it's not bad, but I remember I used to really like Dumbo as a kid, and I didn't touch it for probably over a decade. I remember I rewatched it, I think, like 2015, 2016. And I don't know, it really doesn't hold up all that great to me. One, it's a miserable movie. It is so constantly mean-spirited throughout the entire thing. Like, there is next to no rest for the main character. Everyone outside of, I think Timothy Mouse, and the Crows, even the Crows at first, like, everybody in that movie is terrible. Everyone in that movie is terrible. I mean, also they said Dumbo's mom and the stork. But, like, that movie is so relentlessly mean to the main character, and it just gets really tiring to watch after a while. And it's funny because it's barely an hour long. So it's not, but it's all, I don't know, it's always felt very slow to me, especially for a film that short. And again, I remember just feeling very unpleasant watching the film. And I remember two of my friends that were watching it with me, we all kind of felt the same way with Dumbo, where we didn't hate it, but we all just kind of unanimously agreed that was a lot more unpleasant than we remembered as kids. And it's not until the last 10 minutes where, like, it becomes actually happy and good things start to happen to the main character. And there's very good parts of the movie. I think the music is great. Pink Elephants is like one of the best scenes from that era of Disney. But to me personally, I'm going to put Dumbo at a low C. Again, not bad, but it's not a movie I would regularly go back to. It's like, has bright spots, but like, to me personally, it's too unpleasant for me to enjoy watching it. Bambi A. Bambi to me is, I'd say, of this era, of like the very early Disney films, Bambi is probably my absolute favorite. Because Bambi to me, I think, is perfect balance of dark and light. Because it's in my opinion, next to Fantasia, it's the most beautiful film from that period of time. And two, it's just so Oh, it's so charming. I love the entire cast. It's so fun. It's so charming. The first, like, 30, 40 minutes is so lighthearted and so entertaining. And I love how dark it gets. But it's not dark to a point where it feels like tonal whiplash. It perfectly segues into the darker material during the third act. And it's done so well. I still, like, to this day, the scene of that quail getting shot by the hunter has been, like, burned into my brain. Like, I remember that horrible scream before she takes off. I remember that just moment of silence when the gunshot happens and then she hits the ground. It's such a good movie. It's so beautiful. It's so charming. And again, it perfectly blends lighthearted material with darker subject matter at the same time. And it's just a good coming-of-age story. I think the main character has a lot of charm to him. I think his friends are a lot of fun. It's just a very good movie. It's a very feel-good movie despite the dark third act. And Saludos Amigos. Saludos Amigos is very weird to me. Because, one, it's not even an hour long. I think it's like 50 minutes, if that. I don't know. It's very weird because it's one of those films where, I mean, it's the start of that period of time where Disney started to do basically short compilations with, like, kind of a narrative in between each short. But Saludos Amigos to me is okay. I don't think there was anything super stand out to me outside of, I really like a lot of the behind the scenes footage of them going to South America, because the narrative that connects each short is that it's basically a travel film with a lot of the Disney animators where they went to, I think, South America and the southern part of Mexico, and they just hung around, they learned about the culture, and they basically just drew and animated a bunch of things based on what they saw and what they learned. And it's okay. It's not great. Again, it's not even an hour long. It's very, very short, to the point it almost barely counts as a film, in my opinion. But I'd say I put it at like a little bit of a higher C. Three Caballeros. Three Caballeros, I think, it's on the same level to me as Saludos Amigos, but I think Three Caballeros has the advantage of it has three really good leads, because Donald Duck is my favorite of the core Disney cast. But I love Jose and I love Panchito. Like, all three of them have this great chemistry together, and it's so much fun watching them together. The problem I have with it is that the movie slows down to a slog during the third act. It's not super entertaining, which is sad, because I think for the first two acts it's a really fun movie, and I do like a lot of the segments they have in the film. But it's when they do the third act, it becomes really weird and really abstract, and it just feels like it takes away a lot from the fun and fast pace that a lot of the earlier parts of the film had. So I'd put it at a very high C, teetering on a low B. So, like, actually, no, I'm gonna put it at a low B. I'm gonna put it at a low B. It's not a great movie, but I think it's a very entertaining movie with the third act aside. Fun and fancy free. I remember I saw this when I was maybe like 8, and I remember I liked the Mickey Mouse segment, but I always remembered the parts with Edgar Bergen, because as a very avid puppeteer fan, Edgar Bergen is like a massive legacy guy, because he was basically the man who popularized ventriloquism in the United States. And I think his segments are the most fun, even though now I think they come off kind of creepy, because it's Edgar Bergen in a house with his puppets, alone with a little girl. And it's really, really weird. And I don't know. I like, especially with a lot of connotation for things that have happened in the last 30 years, it comes off creepy and really kind of weird. As much as I love Edgar Bergen, it's very jarring because they treat it like it's a party, but there's like nobody at the party except this little girl. And I don't know. It's like the one part of the movie where I'm like, I can see charm in it, but I think it comes off a little too creepy now. My biggest problem with the movie is it's 2 shorts plus the in-betweens with Edgar Bergen and a little bit of stuff with Jiminy Cricket. The first segment goes on so long. It is miserably long. I think it's like 40 minutes. It's 2 shorts, and it's the first short is like 40 minutes long, and every time you think it's going to end, it keeps going. And it's this short with, I think, a circus bear. And again, it's not terrible, but it is so badly paced, and it is so just bizarrely long for a film like this, to the point I remember when I first saw it as a kid, I thought the whole movie was just going to be this in-between segment with Edgar Bergen and this bear short. And I was wondering, okay, where's Mickey Mouse? Because Mickey Mouse is on the front cover. And then, like 45, 50 minutes in, it gets to the Jack and the Beanstalk segment, which is the best part of the movie. And in my opinion, I think that's just what the movie should have been. But I feel like they had the 40-minute short with the bear just to pad it out, because I think the Mickey Mouse short is only like 15, 20 minutes. And I don't know. It's to me where I think the movie would probably be a low B if it weren't for the fact of the kind of uncomfortable in-between segments. And again, that first short, while not bad, is so slow, and it really takes away a lot from the film. Like, I'm going to put it at a low C. Again, not a terrible, like, not a bad movie, but that first short hurts it a lot. And it kind of brings it down to a point where I think it's a borderline just average film. Make Mine Music is great. I'd say of the short film compilation films, Make Mine Music is probably my favorite next to another film. Make Mine Music has, I think, a lot of the most fun segments of those Disney compilation films, because the Willie the Whale short is like one of my favorite shorts Disney's ever made. It's a short that's done entirely by one performer, which is already impressive, but it's an entire opera. It's like a 15 minute short about this singing whale, and every single character is played by one actor, and it is amazing how good the music in that segment is, and the story is so much fun. And let's see, I'm trying to remember everything. There's the Blue Bayou, which was actually a short that was going to be in Fantasia, which that's a beautiful short. It's a short following this swampy area and this bird, and it's absolutely beautiful. And you could really tell it was supposed to be in Fantasia. Casey at the Bat, which it's a short about baseball players. That one's a lot of fun. The rotoscope ballet sequence is very beautiful. It's very creative. I'm trying to remember everything. There's also one, I think it's like a American Graffiti-ish kind of story about these teenagers at a diner, which that one's also a lot of fun. Oh yeah. And it's I'm looking it up right now in another window. It's the short with the pencil where you can actually see the animator drawing, and that one's a lot of fun. It's just fun. It's just a really fun movie. I don't think there's any segments that are really bad. Also, this is also where the Peter and the Wolf Disney short comes from, which is a classic short. It's fantastic. For that, I'm going to put Make Mine Music at, trying to see where. I'm going to put it at a high B. I'm going to put it at a high B. I'm going to put it just under Pinocchio. Not one of my top 25, top 30, but I'd say it's definitely teetering on top 35. It's a very fun movie. Ichabod and Mr. Toad. That is my favorite compilation film of all time. The Mr. Toad segment, I've actually read Wind in the Willows. It was a book I really liked as a kid. And it's such a fun, again, it's just fun. These two films are just a lot of fun. I love how they did the Mr. Toad segment. I really like that it's one of the only Disney films I can think of from that period where they have anthropomorphized animals, but they're like to scale. So the humans are like tall and the animals are like 2 feet, 3 feet tall. Like they're very short. And I don't know, that really amuses me. And it has a lot of British cynicism, which I think is very funny, especially for a film during that period. Because Disney at that time hadn't really had like a British-led film. So there's a lot of dry British humor, a lot of wordplay. It's a very funny short. And then there's the Sleepy Hollow short, which is one of the best shorts Disney's ever made. It's fantastic. It's so good. And the fact that they still play it on Halloween, and it's considered one of the staples of Halloween tradition, especially for Disney, is a testament to how good it is. It's got fantastic narration, with fantastic narration from Bing Crosby. I was going to say Frank Sinatra, but it's Bing Crosby, does a great job, does a majority of the singing, does all the narration, and it's Bing Crosby. The man had an amazing voice. The Headless Horseman segment is fucking awesome. Like, it's just as good now as it was probably when it came out. It's so fucking good. It's so high energy, and it's so entertaining to watch. Like, to me, that is going above Pinocchio. Just under Fantasia, but above Pinocchio. Let's see. Melody Time. Melody Time is the one I kind of forget about. It's not bad. I think Melody Time is a decent movie. But I think Melody Time doesn't have as many standout segments, and I think a couple of them drag on a little too long. The Pecos Bill segment is probably my favorite out of all of them, but Melody Time's one I don't really have a lot to talk about. Like, I don't know. Again, it's okay. I think it's decent. I'd say I'd put it above Saludos Amigos. And Cinderella. Cinderella to me, I know this is probably a hot take. Cinderella to me has never really been a major standout film to me for Disney. Not that it's bad. It's a lot like Dumbo, where I don't think it's a bad movie. I just think it doesn't stand out a whole lot outside of the music, because the music is absolutely beautiful. The music in that film is fantastic, but I think there's a few too many things that annoy me about it. Like, I'm not really a fan of the mice. I remember as a kid I liked them, but the older I've gotten, I think the more they kind of annoy me, especially Gus. I don't know. It's one of those movies that's never really hooked me every time I watch it, and every time I try to watch it, I have a hard time focusing on it or paying attention to it, because there's a lot of parts of the film that really drag for me. Like, I don't think the villain's that interesting. I think she's honestly one of the more boring villains. I think she has a great design, but she's just never really stood out to me that great as a villain. And same with Cinderella. I think Cinderella's okay, but I don't think she's that great of a lead. I think some of the side characters are more interesting, as much as I don't care for the mice. I'd say Cinderella. I'll put it above Dumbo, because I think Cinderella has a few higher points than Dumbo does, in my opinion, but I'd say at best it's just okay. Peter Pan. I'd say that my two favorite movies, because one of them's coming up. My two favorite movies from this period are from the 50s, late 40s, early 50s of Disney. Or late 40s, late 50s. And Peter Pan is like top 15 for me. Peter Pan is a great movie. Peter Pan to me is just the quintessential fun adventure film from Disney. It's because I love the Peter Pan book. And Peter Pan is one of those stories where I always really like seeing how somebody can change up the story and adapt it, because there's been a lot of really good adaptations of Peter Pan, and even stories about the making of Peter Pan. Finding Neverland's a beautiful film. And Hook's a lot of fun. I love Hook. But Peter Pan, to me, is one of the most entertaining of the Disney films. It has a great villain, one of the funniest Disney villains. Because Hans Conried was amazing, and I really wish he did a lot more voiceover work. But Hans Conried as Captain Hook is great. Smee is hysterical. The music in the film is a lot of fun. The characters are a lot of fun. Peter Pan just has this inherent likability to him that makes him a great lead. I think the three kids are charming. I think Catherine Beaumont was one of the best child actors Disney had, especially considering the next film. But I think it's just a lot of fun. I really like how they play around with the world of Peter Pan. As much as there are some things that haven't aged well, like the Native American segments, I feel weird because What Made the Red Man Red is kind of a guilty pleasure for me, because it's a great sounding song. It's just the horrible context to where we are now with that song, because God, that whole everything with the Native Americans is, I mean, everybody has said it. It's so bad, and it feels very poor taste now. But that being said, Peter Pan's going in A for me, because that's just such a fun movie, and I love watching it. I just watched it actually not too long ago. I think I watched it about a month ago. Next is Alice in Wonderland, which is sadly a lot like Dumbo for me, where I hadn't seen it for a long time, and I remember liking it a lot more as a kid. I'd say Alice in Wonderland is a better film than the C ranks, where I think the creativity alone is what really makes Alice in Wonderland, because it's Alice in Wonderland. It's a film it's a story where it's very easy to be as creative as you want with the story, because there's no rules to the world of Alice in Wonderland. And it's very colorful. I'd say it's probably one of the most colorful films made from that period in Disney's history. And again, Catherine Beaumont, like in Peter Pan, I think she's very charming. She just had a very natural charm to her in the roles that she played. The supporting cast of Alice in Wonderland is what really makes the film. As much as my biggest problem with Alice in Wonderland is I think the pacing is awful. It is a very slow movie, and I think in the third act especially, it really comes to a halt, and I kind of think the Red Queen is really annoying to a point that I don't really enjoy watching that third act of the film. But Alice in Wonderland to me is, I love the Mad Hatter, I love the March Hare, I love the creativity of the world, I love how batshit that movie gets, and I don't even mean with the world that it inhabits, the characters, the sense of comedy. The comedy can be really slow or really fast. Like, there's no in-between with Alice in Wonderland. But again, I think Alice in Wonderland just gets a little too tiring near the end, because so much happens so fast, especially near the end of the film. It's like, I'd say I'll put it above Snow White, just on the level for the creativity that Alice in Wonderland has. Because again, it's a decent movie, but I don't think it's held up as well as I remember it as a kid. Because I think as a kid, that was like in my top 15. Next, Sleeping Beauty. Sleeping Beauty, this was the film I was talking about next to Peter Pan. Sleeping Beauty to me is the best classic era Disney film to me. Sleeping Beauty does everything near perfect to me. I love the music. It's some of my favorite music in any Disney film. The villain is fantastic. Like, Maleficent, there's a reason Maleficent is considered one of the best Disney villains. To me, like, she's easily top 5, even teetering on top 3. She's such a fun, evil character. The design is great, and it's so funny because I think her name, Eleanor Audley, I think was her name, the actress who played the villain in Cinderella. She went from one of the more villains to me to like amazing. She is so much fun in that role, and she is so genuinely scary. And also the side characters, it's so funny. For a movie called Sleeping Beauty, the movie is made by the side characters because the movie is more about the side characters than the lead character. And I think it works in a way, because Aurora to me is probably the most boring Disney princess. In that, well, I also think that can't really be helped because she doesn't really get time to do anything. And it's one of those things where I think the fact that the film elevates so many of the side characters to these bigger parts. The three fairies are great. I love them. They're so charming. They're so much fun. The kings are so much fun. Maleficent is a great villain. Her henchmen are hilarious. Prince Charming, I think in the third act he doesn't even have a line from what I remember. But it's just a great movie. It is to me one of the most timeless Disney films. Like that, like when you think of classic Disney, to me, Sleeping Beauty is my definition of classic Disney. It is the perfect adaptation, in my opinion, in a way to make it work for a family. And it's such a fun movie. It's dark when it needs to be dark. It's funny when it needs to be funny. And again, like Bambi, it perfectly blends those elements together into just a perfect fairy tale film. So yeah, no, that's going at a high A for me. Like, that's borderline top 10 Disney movies for me. Lady and the Tramp, I think it's a very cute movie. It's not great, but I think Lady and the Tramp is, I'd say, my definition of what I would call like the cutest Disney movie. I'd say the cutest, or definitely contender for the cutest. I think it's just charming. It's not great. It's not super funny. The music is good, but like there's nothing amazingly stand out about it outside of a couple songs. But it's cute. It's a very charming film. I think the two leads have very good chemistry together. I love two of the songs in the movie, especially the title song. It's cute. It's very cute. I'd say, I'll put it under Alice in Wonderland, but above Snow White. Again, very, very cute movie. 101 Dalmatians, also very cute movie, but I think 101 Dalmatians has the added benefit of being one of the funniest Disney films from this period in time. Because, again, like Lady and the Tramp, I think the two leads are very charming. I think everyone in that movie is very charming. And again, it has some of that British cynicism and charm that Ichabod and Mr. Toad had. But with the added benefit of it has this jazz aesthetic that's also a lot of fun. The villain is fantastic. She's hysterical. I love the side villains. I think the side characters are all a lot of fun. I love the cat and the dog. And Mr. Tibbs is like one of my favorite, I guess, of underrated Disney side characters. He's like one of my favorites. I love that cat so much. I love the sketchy style. Again, it's a lot like Lady and the Tramp. It's very charming, but it has the added boost of being hysterical. There are so many funny parts of this movie. And again, the villain elevates the film so much. On top of the fact that all the characters are so likable. I am going to put that at probably a high B. I'm going to put that above Fantasia. I'd say a high B teetering on maybe an A-. I'll say it's like a B+. It's just a very fun, very charming movie. And Jungle Book. And again, Jungle Book is one of those movies, like Dumbo, where rewatching it as an adult, I don't know, it doesn't stand out a whole lot to me. like the music in Jungle Book is phenomenal. Though again, saying the music in a Disney film is great is just kind of like, well, yeah. But Jungle Book to me is, I don't know. I think it's because I find the lead annoying. Mowgli has always just really annoyed me, which is sad because I love the side characters in the movie. Like, Baloo and Bagheera are great. I think those two are hysterical. I think King Louie's a very funny character. Shere Khan's a great villain. I love it. Again, it has a lot of elements to it that I think are a lot of fun. And the music is a lot of fun. But it's brought down by the fact that I really don't like the lead. There's just something about Mowgli that has always really annoyed me. Even as a kid, I never cared for Mowgli a whole lot. But as an adult, I just think he's gotten more annoying. And I don't know. I'd say if Mowgli was a better character, I'd say it'd probably be around Pinocchio area for me. But as it's standing, I'm gonna put it above Snow White because I think it's a more fun movie than Snow White. But again, I think it's brought down by the fact that I just really don't like the lead. And Sword in the Stone. I actually rewatched this movie, I think 2 months ago, because I hadn't seen it in a long time, and I always remembered it being that Disney movie that was just okay. Like, even as a kid, I just remember not really watching it a whole lot. I think I only saw it maybe a total of like 4 times in my life. I don't know, Sword in the Stone to me has just never stood out as a great movie. And rewatching it, I was thinking, I don't know, I haven't seen it in like 9 years. Maybe I'll like it more. No, it is exactly the same as I remember it. And it's not terrible, but there's nothing that great about it. I don't know. I don't think it's that funny. Outside of the Madam Mim scene, which is really fun, I'm going to put it at a high D. I don't know. It's not that standout. I don't think any of the characters are that great. I don't remember any of the music. And again, outside of one scene, it really doesn't stand out to me as that great of a film. In fact, it's honestly just kind of boring. Let's see. Robin Hood. Like Lady and the Tramp and 101 Dalmatians, it's fun. I think it's a very fun movie. And again, I really like Disney movies that have a large British cast because I feel like a lot of those movies have a lot of fun with their comedy and I don't know. There's just an inherent charm to me with a lot of the British-led Disney films because I just think a lot of the British actors have this natural charisma to them. Peter Ustinov as Prince John is hilarious. I'd say this is probably one of the funniest films of the later years, like post Disney's death. I'd say this is probably one of the funnier films from the 70s. Because Robin Hood is an inherently charming lead. I think all the characters are good. I don't think there's any bad characters in it. I like the villain. I think the villain's a lot of fun. I think it's a very breezily paced movie. It never feels like it's dragging at any point. There's nothing super standout about it. There's nothing like average about it either. It's just a generally fun movie. Generally fun. I'm gonna put that above. Yeah, I'll put it above Make Mine Music. It's a very fun movie. Again, nothing great, but nothing that average either. It's just overall just has nothing that bad about it, but nothing amazing. It's just a very fun movie. Rescuers. This was a movie I flip-flopped on a lot throughout my life because I remember as a kid I thought it was decent. And then when I was a teenager to like my late teens, early 20s, I didn't care for it at all. In fact, I thought it was boring as hell. And I rewatched it for the first time in, I think, like 8 years last year. And it's a lot like Lady and the Tramp, where I think it's got charm to it, but I don't think there's anything great about it. I'd say I don't like it as much as Lady and the Tramp. Honestly, I probably don't like it as much as any of the Bees, but I'd say it's not bad, but I'd say it's one of the most okay Disney films. I think the two leads are likable enough. I think the only part where I think the movie gets really great is the third act, because I think that's when it picks up and has a lot of fun with it. I don't really care for the villains. Like, I don't know. There's something about Madame Medusa that's never stood out to me. That, and also I just think it's an ugly as shit design. As interestingly, I found out, apparently it was originally supposed to be Cruella de Vil, but I guess during that period of time, they didn't really want to have overlap with their movies, so they made a new villain, who is basically Cruella de Vil, but not as fun. But yeah, I'm gonna say Rescuers is... I'm gonna put it under Melody Time, but above Saludos Amigos. It's okay. It's not great, but it's an okay movie. And The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. I know I've used the word charming a lot, but Winnie the Pooh to me is just... Winnie the Pooh is one of the most likable things on the planet to me. It's like, I don't know anybody who could actually hate Winnie the Pooh. Like, to me, Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh is... I'm gonna put it in A. I'm gonna put it in A. I'd say I don't like it as much as those other films, but Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh to me is a film that I can just sit down and relax and watch. It's funny, but it's not hysterical. It has very just likable... It's just... The film feels very nostalgic. Just, I think the character Winnie the Pooh in general is a very nostalgic feeling character. There's just this... Such a warmth and a charm to it. Like, the whole cast is so memorable. It's so... It's fun. It's charming. And it's just... I don't know. There's no other word that I can say other than it just feels... It's nice. It's a very nice movie. That, like... It's not amazing, but it's not trying to be amazing. It's just trying to be this very likable, charming story. And it does a very good job at that. It's so... I just love it. It's so cute. It's such a cute movie, and it's so much fun. Speaking of cute, Aristocats, which, again, it's cute. It's not great. It's not an amazing movie. I wouldn't put it in the A's, but it's cute. I think there's not a lot stand out about it outside of the fact that I do like the two leads. The movie has a lot of very interesting side characters. Which, again, some are good, some aren't that great. I think the villain is really lame. Like, there's sporadically funny parts. I think the pacing kind of goes all over the place. But again, it's a very, very cute movie with some very good music. I think it's got a great kind of jazzy, swanky kind of sound to a lot of the music. I'd say I put it under Lady and the Tramp. It's like, I don't think it's as nice or as pretty as Lady and the Tramp, but I think there's it's just like a good likability to Aristocats. Fox and the Hound is another movie a lot like Rescuers, where I've just always kind of viewed it as that okay Disney movie, where I don't think there's anything amazing about it outside of a couple scenes, where I think the first act is the strongest to me, which I actually don't know what the major opinion with Fox and the Hound is. I don't know if more people think the first half is better or if the other half of the film is better. I think when the film is just the two leads as kids, I prefer the movie more when it's just cute as opposed to when it just kind of takes this very dark tonal shift halfway through. Where, again, it's not bad, but there's just so much more likability and entertainment to the first, like, 30, 40 minutes of the film as opposed to the last 30 minutes. And I don't know, it's... Again, I think the film is just kind of this weird tonal inconsistency where I don't think the first and second act really... Or the first act and the third act mesh that well. I'd say... I don't know. I'll put it under Rescuers. Again, it's not... Again, it's fine. I think it's an okay movie. Black Cauldron. I remember this was kind of that elusive Disney movie for a long time for me because I had never watched it and I never really knew anyone that had seen it, nor did I know anyone that had it. So it was kind of that movie that I just didn't really see for years. And I think it wasn't until I was like 18 that I finally sat down and watched it. And I can easily say that is one of the most boring Disney movies I have ever seen. I will give it an edge over Sword in the Stone in that I think there are elements of the Black Cauldron that are more interesting. Like, the villain is great. The villain is, like, oh my god, the villain is so scary. And the villain is genuinely the most interesting part of the film. And there are elements to the film that I think are interesting. But I think the lead is really boring. I don't think any of the leads are interesting. I think Gurgi is horrible. Gurgi is the biggest thing to me that ruins the film. I can't stand Gurgi. And it's sad because I like the actor that plays Gurgi. I just can't stand that voice. It's complicated because I really want to like that movie. And I know some people that do. But to me, I just think the film is just below average. Like... I'll give it one up that I like a lot of the imagery and the animation, and I think the villain is great. I'll give it the one up over Sword in the Stone, but I do not think it's a good movie. Great Mouse Detectives. Fucking fantastic. Like, Great Mouse Detective it's another one of those movies I didn't see till I was maybe like 18 or 19. And it was one of the last Disney films I had never seen. I think it was like one of 3 that I had never watched as a kid. And I remember I sat down, I watched it, and it's so much fun. This is like, it's a lot like Peter Pan. It's just such a fun movie. Vincent Price is amazing in it, like he is in everything he's in, and he absolutely makes that film. But it's got a great lead. Basil is so much fun, and I love his charisma. I love the voice. I love how funny the movie is. I love how it uses the setting of late 1800s London, but from the perspective of a mouse. There are some parts of the movie that are so genuinely creepy just because of the dark colors. And it's such a good movie. It's so much fun. And I really wish, like, of a lot of the Disney characters, Basil is one of those characters I really wish they used again in some capacity, and I'm sad they never made, like, a comic or a show off of him. But yeah, no, that's going high A, like, teetering on S for me. I love that movie. Oliver and Company, and we are back to the movies. Oliver and Company is a film with a decent ensemble. I don't think there's any huge standouts in the film. Even Billy Joel, who has an amazing song. It's Billy Joel, so it's gonna be good music. But I don't know. There's nothing about the film to me that has stood out, especially as I've gotten older. Because as a kid, I remember thinking it was okay. But I don't know. As an adult, it's not bad. Again, like some of the C's, it's not bad, but there's nothing majorly stand out about it outside of some of the characters and the music, which there's weirdly not enough music in it for a movie with Billy Joel. I'd say for how colorful it is and how I like some more aspects of it, I'm gonna put it. I'll put it above Fox and the Hound. Yeah, I don't know. All right, Little Mermaid. It's a very, again, it's the start of the Disney Renaissance, and there's a good reason for why it was the start of the Renaissance. It's just such a likable movie. The lead is such a fun lead. I love the villain. Ursula's great. Ursula makes that fucking movie. I love how dark it gets, but I like, again, it's not too scary. Though I will admit, when Triton destroys that statue, that was really fucking intense for me as a kid, and the musical score did not help. Nor did the black and red color scheme of that scene. But again, it's just overall very likable, and also some of the best Disney music ever. Like, to me, Kiss the Girl is like top 5 Disney songs for me. I love this era of Disney music in particular, which I might have some bias of because I was born in the mid-90s. So I might have some bias with the fact that I probably watched these movies more than a lot of the Disney films. That being said, Little Mermaid, still a great movie. I will put it in between Pinocchio and Robin Hood. Rescuers Down Under, another great movie, and a movie that is like 3 times better than the original film. Rescuers Down Under is a lot like Peter Pan. It's just a great adventure film. It's so much fun. It's very breezily paced. It's like an hour, 10 minutes. I think that I like how they expand upon Bernard and Bianca's character. I think the score is great. I think the setting is a lot more fun than the setting in the first Rescuers movie. The villain is so much better than the first Rescuers movie. It's just fun. It's so entertaining. It's such a fun movie. Like, I'm gonna put that just under Sleeping Beauty. That's definitely going in the A's. Again, also, Prince and the Pauper. It was a Mickey Mouse short that played before it. That's also a great short. That's like one of the best Mickey Mouse things ever made, in my opinion. All right, and we are on to Aladdin. Which, again, Aladdin, again, a lot like Peter Pan. I don't think it's as great as Peter Pan or Rescuers Down Under, but Aladdin is just, it's just an entertaining just adventure movie, and it has a very likable lead. I think it has I think everyone in Aladdin is probably one of the Disney movies from that era that I think has one of the best casts. Jafar, great villain. I think Iago, a lot of fun. Robin Williams as the genie is one of the best voiceover performances in any animated film ever. It's Robin Williams. He's fucking incredible. He's my favorite comedian. And that character is perfect for him. Like, I would genuinely say he is one of the best characters in any Disney film. That being said, I don't think it's amazing. I think there are a couple parts that drag a little bit. I think especially in the middle, once the Prince Ali stuff starts happening. But again, great music, great animation, great characters. Part of Your World is top 3 Disney songs for me. Like, one of the best songs I think they've ever done. I'd say I like Little Mermaid a teeny bit more, but again, Aladdin's a great movie. Nightmare Before Christmas. Okay, so I did sprinkle a few outsourced Disney films in here that got theatrical releases because I felt like I couldn't not talk about some of these. So, Nightmare Before Christmas is kind of a movie that has such a huge reputation to me that I don't know what else I can say about it. It's got the Tim Burton aesthetic. It translates wonderfully to stop motion. The lead has so much charisma. The villain is so much fun. It's stop motion animation, which I will say is always entertaining to watch and is fucking beautiful. I love how diverse the character designs are in this movie. And if this was counted among the Disney canon, I would genuinely say this is like the top 5 best movies in terms of music. Nightmare Before Christmas has some of the best fucking music I have ever heard in a movie. It is so good. Let me see. Where would I put it? I'll put it above Peter Pan. It's like, Nightmare is just a movie where it's just fantastic. I don't know what else to say about it other than it's just a brilliant, brilliant fucking movie. Beauty and the Beast. is one of the best animated films ever made. Like, of all the Disney films from the 90s, that is the movie I get 100% why it was nominated for Best Picture. It is just everything about it to me is perfect. I could watch that movie 10 times in a year and never get sick of that movie. I love everything about that movie. It is beautiful. It is heartwarming. It is scary. It has a great cast. Like, one of the best voice casts, I think, in any Disney film. Belle is my favorite Disney princess. I love that character so much. Just everything. It's fun. It's funny. It's dark. It's beautiful. It is such a good movie. The song Beauty and the Beast is my favorite Disney song. I cry every time I hear that song. Genuinely. That is a song, no matter what version of it I have heard, as much as I hate the live-action remake of that film, I will admit, the version Ariana Grande did is beautiful. It is a great song. That is our first S rank. Beauty and the Beast is like top 10, like teetering on top 5 for me. It is just a near perfect movie for me. Lion King. Again, like Nightmare, I genuinely don't know what to say about Lion King that hasn't already been said. It's, again, like Beauty and the Beast, great cast. I would say of this period, I said Beauty and the Beast has one of. Lion King has the best cast. Like, of the 90s. It is the best cast in any Disney film. I would say, not even just of the 90s, I'd say in general, Lion King is contender for, like, the best ensemble in any Disney movie. Everybody in that movie is on their fucking A-game. Jeremy Irons is fantastic as Scar. The character designs in that movie are fantastic. The music, some of the best Disney has ever done. The colors, like the animation in that film is so beautiful. The color work is so beautiful in that film. Like, all the characters, not even just the music, the instrumental is amazing. The King of Pride Rock is one of my favorite songs in any film, like instrumental. Like, again, it's not top 10 for me because there are a couple small issues I have with the film. Like, I think the villain kind of drops a little bit in the third act, and I think that the middle part with Timon and Pumbaa, as much as I love Timon and Pumbaa, I think it does slow down a little bit with the pacing. But other than that, it's a movie where, again, I don't know what else to really say about it other than it's just a great fucking movie. And I'm going to put that in the middle of A. Pocahontas is probably the most disappointing thing that could have followed up Lion King. Whew! Okay. So, Pocahontas to me as a kid was a movie I rarely watched. And I was thinking, oh, maybe this is a movie I'll like more when I'm older. My opinion has never changed about that movie, even from when I was a kid. And it sucks, because to me, Pocahontas has some of the best music of the entire Renaissance. And it hurts that it is in a movie that boring. Pocahontas, I will admit, it's got more entertaining elements to me than The Black Cauldron, but that movie is so boring. And the two leads are not interesting at all. And the villain is not interesting. Like, there's funny parts to the movie, and I really like the character designs, and I think the movie itself is absolutely gorgeous, especially during some of the musical numbers. But it's just not interesting. Again, I'll give it the up on Black Cauldron because there are more things I like about it. I want to give it a C- and put it in, like, the low Cs. No, I'll put it in, like, the lowest low of C's. Like, borderline a D. Because it's, again, there's several positives, but the negatives outweigh the positives to me to the point that it's just borderline a D for me. Hunchback of Notre Dame. Disney, during this period, they took a film they took one of the best animated films of all time. Then they took one of the most mediocre films they ever made. And then they went back to making one of the best films they ever made. Hunchback is so much better than I think it gets a lot of credit for. And I'm so happy that over the last few years, a lot more people have been appreciating how that's genuinely one of the best films of the Renaissance. Hunchback is fucking incredible to me. Hunchback to me it's dark, but it's dark at a point where it's not miserable. It knows how to balance. I'd say, comparative to Bambi and Peter Pan and Lion King and Beauty and the Beast, movies that have a lot of the elements of the dark and the lighthearted nature, Hunchback balances everything the best out of any of those films. When it goes dark, it goes super dark. And when it's lighthearted, it's fun, but it's not corny. And honestly, as I understand people not liking the gargoyles, to me personally, they have never bothered me that much. As much as their song is the weakest part of the film to me, just everything else about this film is fucking near perfect. I like Beauty and the Beast, just Hunchback is so good to me, and I could, again, watch that movie like 10 times a year and never grow tired of it. That's an S-rank film for me. It's absolutely fantastic. Hercules, I'd say the funniest film of the Renaissance. And I'd actually say probably contender for the funniest film Disney's ever made. Just, again, it's probably the most unique art style they had of the hand-drawn animated films. Having Scarfae, which makes sense why he would have the most unique art style, given how weird and abstract his work is. But again, it's one of those movies where I know I keep using the word fun, but it's just fun. It's just very fun. It's very funny. All the characters are super funny and entertaining. I think it's beautiful. It's a beautiful movie. The color work is so good in that film. Hades is my favorite Disney villain, and he's like the biggest highlight of the film. He's good at being threatening, and he's good at being funny, and they balance it perfectly. Again, like, just everything about this is so much fun. And that's a lot of the A's and S's, is that I just think they're great, fun, charming movies. And also, like, Hercules has one of the most high-energy soundtracks I think Disney has ever done. All the music in that movie is just fucking phenomenal. I'd say I'd put it teetering on S. I won't put it in S, but it's damn close. I'd say the only thing I don't like about it is I don't like how in the third act they kind of have that buddy comedy breakup, which is a cliche I really don't like, which thankfully they don't spend too long on it, but it's like one part of the film that really irks me. Also, there's a couple plot holes with the film when you really think about it that are kind of weird. Like how somehow Hades wasn't aware that Hercules was alive after Pain and Panic came back, when Zeus and literally all the gods apparently knew that Herc was still alive, but he was immortal. And somehow Hades didn't know that for like 13, 14 years. I don't know. I just always thought that's like one really glaring thing with the plot that I always found really weird. But other than that, everything about the movie is fucking great. I love it. Mulan is... Of the Renaissance, Mulan is my absolute favorite. Like, that's going top of the S for me. Mulan has everything I love in a film. It's, again, balances the dark. The music is fantastic. That's one of the best looking Disney films ever made. I love the watercolor look. I love the background work. I love the character designs. Ming-Na is ridiculously likable. And I know she's not technically a princess, but of the main Disney characters, Mulan is probably my favorite. She's my favorite lead in any Disney film. I just love that character. I love that she's funny. She's likable. I like that she knows when to take things seriously. She's not goofy the entire film. Eddie Murphy, great. I love this character more than Donkey. I think Mushu is a fucking great sidekick. I think Sean Yu is a great villain. He's super threatening. Miguel Ferrer's voice is sex. He is so good in that movie. The music, the instrumental is great. That movie has, I would argue, my favorite scene in any film. The scene when the Huns go down the mountain is the coolest fucking thing I have ever seen in a film. And I watch that scene anytime I'm in a bad mood because that shit hypes me the fuck up every time I see it. It is such a fantastic scene. Like, just Mulan is perfect. Mulan is a perfect movie to me. I love everything about Mulan. Next, Tarzan. Again, another great movie. The Renaissance to me, other than Pocahontas, the Renaissance does not have a mediocre or honestly even film. Like, everything in the Renaissance to me has very standout qualities. Tarzan has some of the best music ever in a Disney film. And I mean, it's Phil Collins. It's hard not to say it's not incredible music. Phil Collins is one of the best singers ever, in my opinion. But again, I love the character dynamic. I think Tarzan is great. I love that. I mean, the opening part, I think, can get a little annoying with the kid Tarzan, but I love the opening. The opening number is fantastic. I love the opening scene with Kala and Sabor. And I love that when you first see Tarzan, he doesn't talk. He doesn't talk for a long time, like as an adult. And I really like that. I really like that they do that. Outside of the first scene where he talks to Turk, there's a lot of periods where he doesn't talk. And I really like that they do a lot of body language and facial animation to get his character across when he's around Jane. And also, Jane! I love Jane! She's adorable! And Minnie Driver is so good in that role. Brian Blessed is great in that role. It's one of the only roles I can think of where Brian Blessed is genuinely scary in some parts. I was like, again, it just has a lot of very fun elements to it, and I really like it. I'd put it under 101 Dalmatians, but I'll put it above Fantasia. Fantasia 2000. Fantasia 2000 is a movie where I can understand somebody saying it's inferior to the original film. And there are definitely parts of Fantasia 2000 that I don't like, particularly a lot of the celebrity segments. But I'm going to be honest, I actually watched Fantasia 2000 fairly recently because I had been in the mood to watch it. I kind of prefer it over the original, not by much, but I think Fantasia 2000 just has a lot more entertaining segments to it. Like, I think Fantasia 2000 has a lot better storytelling segments comparative to the original Fantasia, where I think the original Fantasia came off a lot more abstract compared to Fantasia 2000, which I guess it's, again, also a preference of, do you prefer abstract or do you prefer a film that has a lot more storytelling elements? And for me personally, I think I like Fantasia 2000 a little bit more. I think there's more fun to it. I think the segments are a lot more creative. The ending segment with the Spirit of Nature is one of the most beautifully animated things Disney's ever made. It's fantastic. Let's see. I'm trying to see how much we got, because we haven't even gotten to Pixar. Yeah, because I had separated Pixar from the mainline Disney because I wanted to have each part, like, I wanted them separated. Dinosaur is a movie I have flip-flopped my opinion on probably like 7 times. And as of right now, I think the movie is decent. I think that it gets a little too 90s cheese with some of the dialogue, because I feel like the movie would have been a lot better with the original idea of the characters not talking. And again, There's a lot of elements to the film that I think are really great, and there's a lot of elements that really drag it down. For example, I think anytime the movie attempts comedy, it's terrible. I don't know. I just do not care. Like a lot of the side characters, whenever they try to be very funny. I think when the movie is trying to be charming, there are funny parts to it. When the movie is trying to be like one-liners and jokes, it's terrible. The opening segment is also one of the best things in any of like the 2000s Disney films to me. But again, that being said, I don't think a lot of the characters are that great. Again, I think when it tries to be funny, I think it falls flat outside of a few instances. And I think the pacing is really weird in that movie because the first act goes by really quick. And then once you get to the middle of the film, it slows to a slog. That being said, I'd put it... Again, it's decent. It's okay. I'll put it in the high C. Emperor's New Groove, also one of this period. I would say it's one of the funniest films Disney's ever made. I mean, David Spade and John Goodman are already naturally charismatic. They have one of the most charismatic casts I've ever seen. It's David Spade, who is great in most things I've seen him in. John Goodman, who's great in everything I've seen him in. Eartha Kitt, who is a national treasure, and I love her. Patrick Warburton, who is a national treasure, and I love him. It's also one of the most cartoony-looking Disney films, which works very well in the film's favor for a lot of the comedy. The film has great physical comedy. The film has great verbal comedy, and it knows how to balance them both really well without one overtaking the other. And even if a joke doesn't work, it'll have a joke that immediately follows it that will be funny. The film really knows how to balance comedy. That being said, I don't think there's anything that makes the film amazing, but as a comedy, it's great. I think it's a very fun and very funny movie. I will put it above Tarzan, but under 101 Dalmatians. Atlantis. Fucking love Atlantis so much. Atlantis is such a fun movie. And I know I say it, Disney movies have great ensembles, and Atlantis is no exception. Everybody in this movie is funny. They're great characters. I think this has probably one of the most colorful casts in all of the Disney films, even some of the modern Disney films. And it's just a good adventure movie. I think it's dark when it needs to be dark. I think the third act has a lot of fun. The action's great. I think it has a great voice cast. I'd honestly say teetering on par with Lion King and Beauty and the Beast. And it's got a charming lead. I think Kida and Milo are both really good, and I think they pair really well together. I put it above Winnie the Pooh. Treasure Planet, favorite Disney movie. Top. Get over there. Move. I know how I say a lot of these movies. I could watch this movie 10 times a year and not get tired of it. I genuinely watch Treasure Planet at least 4 or 5 times a year. It is one of my favorite films ever made. Like, top 3 favorite movies for me. Treasure Planet is a movie where I genuinely cannot find an issue I have with it. Every time I have ever watched it, there has never been a thing about that film that bothers me, that annoys me. Even Ben. I know people that don't like Ben. I love Ben. I don't have anything in that movie that bothers me. I love everything about that film. The CG 2D blending is fucking beautiful. The character designs are so creative. I love this world that they made. I wish we could see more of this world. I want to see these characters again. Oh my God, I love this movie so much. It's just a perfect film to me. Lilo and Stitch, another great movie. I'm gonna put it in the low S. Lilo and Stitch, I think, has the best emotional, like, family character dynamics I've ever seen. Because Lilo and Stitch is a very funny movie, but the film is also fantastic at emotional moments. The film has moments that have made me tear. Like, I tear up more as an adult watching this movie than I did as a kid. I think Nani and Lilo's relationship is one of the best sibling relationships I have seen in a film. David Chase and Tia Carrere have such good chemistry together, and I don't think they even recorded together, which would be even more impressive to me if that is the case for the whole film. Chris Sanders is a lot of... I think all the alien stuff is a lot of fun. And again, like Treasure Planet, there's a lot of very creative and fun alien designs. And I like that it doesn't look like Treasure Planet. This film looks wholly unique from that film. And they made 2 sci-fi films back to back. And they're both completely different films, but they both work so well. And again, unlike Treasure Planet, I like that we were able to explore Lilo and Stitch more. I like that we were able to see more aliens. I like how much they were able to expand that world. It's such a good world, and I love those characters so much. That and also the use of Elvis is fantastic. Now, on to the era of Disney. Which, yeah, Brother Bear, that's going in F. I had not seen Brother Bear in a very long time. And I remember, like with some of the movies I talked about earlier, there was a period of time where me and some friends had gone back and rewatched a lot of Disney films, particularly movies I hadn't seen in a long time. And I don't think I had seen Brother Bear since I was like 8 or 9. So... and rewatching it, I hated it so much. Like, genuinely, one of the worst things Disney has ever made. The lead character is ridiculously unlikable. I think Coda is incredibly annoying. I think that's genuinely one of the worst kid characters Disney has ever made. And even when we get to the more emotional parts later with those characters, I was so lost on caring about those characters that I just didn't care by that point, even when we were having the emotional moments. Like, it's got Phil Collins music, and comparative to Tarzan, only like one of the songs is that memorable to me, and it's the song they used in all the trailers. I think the movie has absolutely no good jokes. The humor honestly feels really bizarrely out of place for the film, like the period this film takes place in. And I know that they've had like modern types of jokes in like older period of time films that Disney's done, but here a lot of the humor comes off very DreamWorksy to me, and it really doesn't mesh with this world. Especially the 2 Moose played by Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas. And I love Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas, but I do not love them here. Like, ugh. And I think the movie looks great. I think this is one of the best looking of the hand-drawn animated films from the 2000s. Like, it looks good. It's just everything else about the film irks me. Also, holy shit, I hate the third act of this film so much. It genuinely made me so mad. Particularly the scene with Kenai explaining what happened to Coda's mother, because they thought it was a bright idea to have Phil Collins sing over it and completely ruin the fucking scene. And it's, oh my god, everything after that scene just continued to annoy the shit out of me. And it's, again, it never got to a point where I liked these characters. It's just not fun. Same with Home on the Range, which is also going in F, which is probably the worst film I've ever seen from Disney. You want to talk about a movie that made me fucking mad and bored? Holy shit. Home on the Range is like Disney's Shark Tale. It is so obnoxious. It is so boring, and it has so many awful characters. And again, it sucks because I love how it looks. I think it's probably one of the more stylized Disney animated films from the 90s to 2000s. But holy shit, I hate almost everyone in this movie. I think all the comedy is incredibly cringy. Again, bordering on Shark Tale bad. I hate this movie. And it's something where I remember hearing how the original concept for the film was apparently that it was going to be a much darker, like, Alameda Slim was going to be like a zombie ghost cowboy, and there was going to be a lot darker elements to it, and I would have loved to see what that film was going to end up being like, because that sounds like it would have been a much more creative idea. Now, Chicken Little, which also goes in F. Now, here's the thing. Chicken Little is an awful film, but me personally, Chicken Little doesn't bother me as much as some like Brother Bear Home on the Range. It's awful, and I hate most everything about it, but the only reason I give Chicken Little the edge over Brother Bear and Home on the Range is that it does have a few jokes that actually made me laugh, but for the most part, it's a horribly unlikable movie. Everyone in the film, especially the father, is terrible. Just everybody is relentlessly mean to the main characters. And it's not funny mean. It's just cynical and just so just demoralizing, especially to the main character. It's just a very unpleasant film with like a sprinkle or two of a funny joke. Meet the Robinsons, which is also going in F. It's a concept I think could have been a lot of fun. And there's points where it gets to that point. But the pacing is terrible. The villain is the only good part of the entire film. And honestly, he's not in it enough. I don't like almost any of the characters. I think the way time travel is done in the film is done in a way that really annoys me, because it feels like there's almost no rules to a lot of the time travel in that movie. It's not funny. The voice acting annoys the shit out of me, because you can tell the majority of the cast is just played by one guy. It feels like a Disney animated film, but it's written like one of the worst DreamWorks movies, which is how Chicken Little feels a lot too. Like, it's just this period where it really felt like Disney was trying very hard to replicate DreamWorks' style of writing, and it just does not work. Right? Bolt, that's a D. It's not horrible, but it's not good. It's I would genuinely say that's contender for the most boring Disney film ever made, where there was nothing in it I hated, but there was nothing in it I liked. It's just the most generic Disney animal film. There's just nothing, there's really not much to talk about with it for me. It's just that boring of a movie, and there's just nothing that stand out to it. The only thing I kind of like about it is Malcolm McDowell, who's barely in the movie, so it kind of wasted him too. Anyway, back to positive shit. Princess and the Frog. After the last few movies, holy shit, this is such a breath of fresh air, and it's such a fun movie, and it's such return to form for Disney, because it's got great music. It's great. It's a great looking film. I love the cast. Tiana, like top 3 Disney princesses for me. I love that character. Facilier, it's Keith David. Keith David is fucking amazing no matter what movie he's in. It's a great movie. It's a very fun movie, especially with everything we had prior. I'm gonna put that above Fantasia, but under Fantasia 2000. Tangled. It's okay. Tangled, to me, I think it's a very decent movie. I don't think... It's a lot like Lady and the Tramp to me, where I don't think there's a lot that stands out about it, except for a few really funny parts. The horse and Flynn are fantastic. I think those are the 2 best characters in the film. I think Rapunzel's okay. I don't care for Mother Gothel. I think the music is on-off. Some of the music is and some of the music is fantastic. I'd say it's a perfectly solid 7 out of 10 movie for me. I would put it above Aristocats, just under Lady and the Tramp. Winnie the Pooh, 2011. A movie that is so much funnier than I would think a Winnie the Pooh film would be, and I already think the original Pooh has some really good jokes. The 2011 Winnie the Pooh is hysterical. Like, is constantly... And it's not like Emperor's New Groove. It's not like hard, like, buddy comedy. It's just witty. It's just very witty, very charming, very funny. It's my only problem with it is it's too short. I think it's like barely an hour, if that. I think it might be like 58 minutes. That being said, I genuinely think that's one of the funniest films Disney's ever made. Like, top contender for the best comedy they've ever made. I am going to put it, honestly, above the original Winnie the Pooh. I really love that movie. Wreck-It Ralph. Another funny movie. I don't think it's great, but again, I think it's a very fun movie. I like the 3 leads that the film has. I guess 4, because I guess Calhoun does count as a lead. You know, I like the camaraderie all the characters have. I like that because of the different backgrounds that all of them have, they all have very, very different personalities that really mesh well off of each other. I love Calhoun and Felix's dynamic, and I love Ralph and Vanellope's dynamic. And there's a lot of very cute things about it, and I think there's a lot of really funny things about it. Again, not one of the funniest films they ever made, but just a generally very likable film. I'll put it above Make Mine Music. I think it's fun. Frozen. I do not care for Frozen. I am one of those people that really does not care for Frozen. I don't think it's terrible. I think it's very middle of the road. I'd say like a solid 6, maybe like a 5.5 out of 10. Like, I think the music is pretty bad. I think most of the music in the film is honestly pretty bad outside of a couple standout songs. And I don't care for the villain. I think the villain sucks. I think the characters are fine. Like, again, outside of the legacy that the film has had with how well it did, I think the film is just I'll put it above Pocahontas, but I don't know. It's just kind of like teetering on a D+ for me. Next, Big Hero 6. A film that's honestly a lot better than I think it has any right to be. I really like Big Hero 6. I honestly wish Disney would do like another Marvel Comics type film because of this, because I think it's a great movie. It's a very fun idea, and I really like how they handled a lot of these characters, especially Baymax. The film does a really good balance of action, emotion, and comedy, and it really knows how to do each thing individually and do it very well. Again, like Frozen, my biggest problem, I guess Frozen, it's a much better film than Frozen, but my biggest problem with the film is the twist sucks, which is going to be kind of a recurring thing for a lot of Disney films the last few years, is that the twist is not good. It's super, super predictable. And I think genuinely the villain would have been a lot better if there just wasn't a mystery to it. I don't know. I think if there was just a straight supervillain in the film, it probably would have been a better movie to me. Because I'd say if the villain was better, I would say it'd be teetering on an A. But again, the villain is kind of one of the things that brings the movie down for me. As much as I do really like the film, I'll put it under Tarzan. Again, I do really like the film. It's a very fun film. Zootopia. Again, a very, very, very fun film. My biggest problem with Zootopia is that it really gets bogged down in the third act for me, which I do think that the message of the film is very important, but I think the film gets preachy to a point where it kind of started, I don't know, I felt like the message kind of started taking over the film to a point where it just kind of started to feel like the film really started to lose itself in the third act. And it kind of started to feel like a different movie. As again, I think that it's a great message for a film, but my problem is, again, I think the message started to really overtake a lot of the fun the film was having with its premise. Because again, I love the characters, I love the world. I think I think the two leads are great. I think it's some of the two best leads they've had in a Disney film in years. And I really hope they do that sequel that they're talking about. You know, I'd say it's a really, really great movie that just kind of gets a little bogged down by its third act. And also, again, like the other films, the villain sucks. And the twist is honestly really lame. I put it... Let's see. I'll put it above Robin Hood. Oh, wow, that's actually really fitting. You know, again, fun movie. I think it just gets a little too heavy-handed in the third act. Moana. Let me see. I have not seen Moana in a while, but I'd say Moana is probably one of the best CG animated films that they've made. I love Dwayne Johnson. He's already a super charismatic actor. He has so much charm in that film. The music is a lot of fun. It's Musker and Clements again, which I won't say this is their best movie, but it's Musker and Clements. They've done great with pretty much almost every film they've ever done. I think the water effects in this movie are so fucking beautiful, and I love how they do a lot of the stuff with the ocean, especially with the spirits, with the manta rays and things like that. I think Moana is a very likable lead. She's not one of my favorites, but I think she's very charming. And I don't know, it's a lot like some of the other Disney films. It's just an overall really fun adventure movie. Like, I don't think there's anything amazing about the film outside of the music, but again, it's just fun. It's just a very, very, very fun movie. I'll put it above Ichabod and Mr. Toad. It's, again, just a very solid, fun movie. Ralph Breaks the Internet. One of the most divisive Disney movies from everything I've ever seen about it. I think... Here's my thing. The reference stuff doesn't bother me as much as it does a lot of other people. I think my biggest problem with the film is that it goes in directions that really contradict a lot of things that the first movie did. I think the pacing is honestly not very good. It's a long movie. That's the other thing. It does not help that the film is that long and it does not have that great a pacing. Ralph is kind of a dick for a lot of the movie, and I really don't like how they really butchered his character in several parts, especially at the ending. But it's weird because I think there's a lot of really fun parts to the movie. I'd say it's a really solid C. Like, I'd say I'll put it above Oliver and Company. I don't hate it. There are a lot of problems I have with it, but I think there's a lot of good things and a lot of bad things. I'd say it's a very solid, like, 6 out of 10 for me. Like 6, teetering on like a 5.5. Frozen 2. I honestly like it more than the first one. I'd say Frozen 2 has a very, very muddled plot, which I would say is probably the biggest problem with Frozen 2, is that plot has, like, no direction for a lot of the film. But I'd say for the most part, I like the character dynamics in Frozen 2 a lot more. I honestly like the music a lot more in Frozen 2, even though there are some songs I really don't like. And I just think that there's a lot better emotional moments in Frozen 2 comparative to the first one. I'd say I'll put it in like a low B. Raya and the Last Dragon, a movie I really wanted to like more than I did. And which, again, saying that, it's not bad. It's not bad, but I really wanted to like the movie a lot more, especially given the setting of the film. Because I love the concept for the film, and I really like the camaraderie that a lot of these characters have. I think the characters are all fun. There's just... there's never a point in the film where it really started to hook me. I never had a moment where there was just like, yes, I'm really getting into this story. This is a great fucking movie. Like, no, it's a very solid B- movie to me, where it's good, but there was never a point in the film where I thought it was great. Outside of the animation, and I'd say the third act is also pretty good. I'd say the third act is probably the best part of the film. But I don't know. There was just never... and I haven't really gone back to it since I saw it. So I'd say I'd probably put it above Alice in Wonderland. Encanto. It's another movie. It's a very solid film. It's very decent. I think the music is better than the movie itself, though. Encanto was another movie a lot like Raya, where there was never a part where it really started to grab me. Because there were a lot of parts of the movie I did really like, but there was never a part where I was getting really, really invested in the story. Because I like the lead, but I don't think she's that great of a character. I don't really think a lot of the characters stand out, but I also don't feel like we get to know a lot of the characters in the movie enough for it. I don't know. I don't think we get to know a lot of the characters enough for them to stand out a whole lot outside of maybe a couple. Because Bruno was the best part of the film, in my opinion. I thought he was a great character. I love seeing John Leguizamo in anything. But I'd say, as of right now, where I stand on Encanto, I'd put it probably under Tangled. Where I think it's a decent movie, but I don't... It never got to a point where I thought there was anything great about it outside of the music. Now, with that, because they don't have Strange World on here, so this was just basically up until Lightyear came out. We're gonna do some of the... Oh, I forgot. That's a straight to DVD. I'm gonna put in a few of the random the random theater films in here, because I just kind of wanted to talk about some of these. No, wait, I'll put that out there. Whee. Reluctant Dragon. One of the best documentary type films I have ever seen. It has a plot, barely, but the film is basically how the entire behind the scenes production of Disney worked. And it is a great movie. It is one of the best documentaries I have ever watched, because you get to see the full process of like an actual film, because they were working on Dumbo at the time. So you get to see a lot of the behind the scenes material of that film, and even some of the shorts. And it's such an entertaining film. And they even have shorts sprinkled in the film, which are all also a lot of fun. I'm honestly going to put that at a low A. I really, really like that movie. Goofy movie. It's one of the most 90s Disney films, Goofy movie. But I'd say that the datedness has actually added a lot more to the charm of it, unlike Oliver and Company, where I honestly think a lot of the dialogue in that film has kind of dated it in a way that doesn't work in its favor. Goofy movie is just an overall really fun film with some music that is better than it has any reason to be, in my opinion. And it also has a very good emotional core with the two leads, which I don't think anybody would have ever expected from a Goofy movie, but it's just a fun road trip movie. I would say comparative to something like Emperor's New Groove, I don't think it's as funny, but I'd put it above Raya. It's a very fun movie. Brave Little Toaster, a very depressing movie. Which, I mean, it has a lot of very fun elements, because I really love the cast of Brave Little Toaster. There's a lot of charm to the leads, and the film has this very weirdly nostalgic feeling to me, even though I hadn't seen it until a few years ago. It has this very just quaint, nostalgic feeling about the entire film, with a lot of very dark elements, but they're handled very, very well, especially the third act, which is surprisingly fucked up for a movie named The Brave Little Toaster. I'd say I'd put it above Encanto, but under Tangled. A Christmas Carol, another movie with a lot of really fucked up shit, and honestly more than I think it should have had. Like, I'd say it's not the worst adaptation of Christmas Carol. I think there's a lot of very good parts of the film, and I honestly think Jim Carrey is better than he has any reason to be in that role. Because I remember when that movie was come out, they were really banking that movie as a comedy, and it's really not a funny movie, which is really distracting when they throw funny parts into scenes that aren't funny. But I'd say overall, I'd give it a C, because I'd say this movie just kind of goes dark to a point where it's just really unpleasant to watch. And it's to a point where it just feels almost exploitive. Like, it feels very, very out of place for a film with Christmas Carol that's a story that's very good at mixing light and dark tones, which I think this movie goes a little too far with the dark tones. I'd put it above Fox and the Hound, under Oliver and Company. Frankenweenie, which is, I really like Frankenweenie. It's a very cute movie with some, I'd say it's a film that's dark, but it's not overly dark. I love the black and white look of the film is fucking fantastic. It's such a beautiful looking film. I really hope Tim Burton does another stop motion movie somewhere in the near future, because it's been over 12 years and he still hasn't done another one, and I've been really hoping he would do another one at some point. But no, it's got a great cast. Like, it's a much funnier movie than I think most people would think it is. And I love that it takes the original short film, which is also a very good short, and it extends it in a way that doesn't feel like a story that's being dragged out. It has a very good pacing throughout the entire thing. I think the short is better, because I think it feels much more condensed to a point that I think the story flows a lot better. But I'd say overall, Frankenweenie, it's a pretty solid B. I'd put it, I put it above Alice in Wonderland. Actually, no, I'll put it above Raya. It's a very cute movie. Now on to the Pixar. With Toy Story. Toy Story is a movie where I go back to it maybe every couple years, and it's a movie that I'm shocked has held up as well as it has, especially for how dated some of the CG looks, because I remember actually watching it with friends a couple years ago, and we realized you can pause on almost any face in that movie and it looks hysterical. Like, in motion, the animation is very cartoony, it looks very good, but there's a lot of freeze frames in that movie where, some of the faces look really bad. But I don't know, Toy Story is just a lot like Nightmare and Lion King. It's just an overall fun movie where there's just not a lot I feel you can really say about it that hasn't already been said. So I'd say it's not one of my favorite Pixar films, but I do still really like it. I would put Toy Story, I'll put it under Moana. I do really like Toy Story. Bug's Life. I don't like it as much as Toy Story, which is funny because I used to prefer Bugs Life to Toy Story. I used to watch Bugs Life a lot as a kid. I'd say Bugs Life... I'd say I like the characters in Bugs Life a little bit more, but I think there's elements of Bugs Life that I like less than Toy Story. That I think Bugs Life has a very colorful... I think Bugs Life is a much funnier movie than Toy Story is, but again, there's a lot of elements of Bugs Life that I don't like. For example, I think the pacing, especially in the third act, the second act, I think drags really bad. The thing I hate that really drags the movie down is the film feels like it artificially stretches its third act out because they do the liar revealed, which I fucking hate that trope. And it really, really bogs down the third act of the film because it feels like it was done more for artificial length than for actual plot purpose. Because when you really think about it, it makes no sense why it would be that big of a deal in the film. But the movie treats it like it's a big deal, and it adds like an extra 10 minutes to the film that really don't need to be there. And again, I really think that third act kind of bogs the movie down because of that. Even though I think the film picks up a bit during the third act, during the climax of the film. But I'd say overall, it's a fun movie. I just don't like it nearly as much as I did when I was a kid. I'd say I'd put it just under Raya. Toy Story 2. That is still top 10 ever for like Disney and Pixar. Toy Story 2 is one of the best sequels ever made, in my opinion. It takes everything that the first movie did and does it better. The animation is better. The new characters are fantastic. I love that it actually expands upon where a lot of the characters were left off in the first movie, and it does it really well. And all the new characters introduced balance perfectly with the old cast. I love the villain. I think the villain is great. Kelsey Grammer is phenomenal in that role. Jesse's flashback is one of my favorite scenes in any movie. It's such a... Oh my god, it's such a beautiful scene. It's so good. And it ups everything that the first film already did good. It's a great fucking movie. I'll put that at the bottom of S. Next is Monsters, Inc. I'd say that's probably one of the funniest Pixar movies, which I really like the world. And again, I like that we finally got a show based around Monsters, Inc. because I like that we were able to expand more on this world. Because I think Monsters, Inc. is a very, very creative premise that allows for creative ideas and a lot of very creative character designs. I love how much fun they had with the design work in this film. All the monsters look so unique, and I love all the gimmicks they did, especially for the scarers. You get to see how some of them did their own techniques, and I just love how this world operates. It's a really fun world, and it has a lot of really good characters. John Goodman is great, as he always is, in everything I've ever seen him in, and I love Billy Crystal. I think Steve Buscemi and James Coburn are great as the villains. I love Steve Buscemi. I mean, I love Steve Buscemi in, like, almost everything I've seen him in, but, like, it's just an overall really fun movie with a lot of very good emotional beats with Sully and Boo, and it has some really good... even, like, intimidating parts, because I think Randall and Waternoose are genuinely intimidating villains, and I think they're handled really well. Let's see, where would I put you? I'll put it under Aladdin. Let's see. Finding Nemo. That, for the longest time, Finding Nemo was my favorite Pixar film. So, obviously, you know that that's going in S. I am putting that just under Mulan. Finding Nemo, I love the ocean. The ocean is, like, one of my favorite things to learn about. I think aquariums are, like, some of the coolest places on Earth. I just love how immense the ocean is, and I love learning new things about it. I for the longest time, I actually wanted to be an oceanographer because I was so fascinated by the ocean. And Finding Nemo is one of the big reasons I became so fascinated with the ocean. And it's one of the best instrumental scores to any film ever made. I listen to the Finding Nemo score for background music a lot because it's just such beautiful music, especially the title theme. It's such ambient, beautiful music. And it's my favorite cast of any Pixar film ever is in Finding Nemo. I love all these characters. You get to spend just the right amount of time with every character in this movie. Nobody is annoying. Like, Dory should be an annoying character, but they do her so well, and she meshes so well with the main character. And I just love, oh my god, I love everything about this fucking movie. It's so good. Again, this is one of those movies I watch at least a few times a year because I just love it so much. Incredibles. It's a very funny movie. Very funny movie. And I'd say a very mature film, especially for an early Pixar film, for like one of their first 5 movies. It's a very, very mature film. And I'd say it's another thing where I wish we got a sequel sooner than we did, because Incredibles is a concept where I feel like it could have worked really well if it had been an ongoing thing with TV or comics or things like that. And I know there were comics, but they didn't run super long. Incredibles is just very stylistically one of the best Pixar films. The cast is great. I love the 60s aesthetic. It reminds me a lot of Batman the Animated Series, not in how that show looked, but in how it handled its world, because there's a lot of very late 60s, early 70s aesthetic to the film while still having some modern technology in it, which is very similar to how Batman the Animated Series was handled, where it felt very 40s, but it had a lot of modern technology at the same time. It feels like a world that's all its own while still feeling familiar, and it works very well. It's also very funny, and I love the family dynamic in this film so much. Everybody works off each other so well. The villain is one of the best Disney or Pixar has ever done. Jason Lee, or is it Jason Lee? I think it's Jason Lee. Is fantastic in that role. I love the cast. I am gonna put Incredibles as a high B. Or it's not my favorite Pixar film, but I do really, really like it. Cars? I like Cars probably more than a lot of people do. Cars, to me, is something where, a lot like Finding Nemo, I love the cast. I think it has one of my favorite ensembles, where I just love how well... There's so many characters, and I love that everybody works off each other very, very well, despite the fact that a lot of the characters don't get a lot of screen time. But I feel you get to know a lot of these characters even though you don't learn a lot about them. The world feels very lived in, and everything feels very well thought out, and it's great. It's funny because it's a very cliche story, and it's a type of story I don't care for a lot, but the way they handle it, I just think it's overall a very, very fun, entertaining movie that I think is handled very, very well. Like, I love how accepting Lightning becomes of these people that he had a lot of disdain for. Paul Newman's fantastic in this. It's one of the last roles he did, and he really did a great job in that role as Doc Hudson. And the score is great. I have the soundtrack, and I'm not even a fan of country, but I love the music in this movie. I'd put that... Oh, wait, no, let me move that up a little bit. I'd put that above Monsters, Inc., just under Aladdin. Again, a very, very fun movie. Ratatouille is also top tier for me. I would put Ratatouille just under Beauty and the Beast. I think Ratatouille... I actually just watched it like 2 weeks ago. I love that. Like, Pixar is so good at ensembles. I actually say Pixar is better at ensembles than Disney has been before. And again, it's a thing of there's a lot of characters you don't know about, but you know so much about them just based off their personality and even some of the brief descriptions you get from them. And with the characters you do get to know, you love these characters so much. Patton is great. Lou Romano isn't even an actor, and he's fucking great as Linguini. I think the villain is a lot of fun. I like the relationship that Linguini and Colette have. I think Janine Garofalo is great as Colette. I love the dynamic Remy has with his imaginary friend, with Gusteau. I love Brad Garrett. I think Brad Garrett's a great voice actor, and I love him in that role. It's just, again, overall, just a very likable, charming film, and it's beautiful. Oh my God. The shots of Paris in this movie are some of my favorite shots I've ever seen in an animated film. It's so vibrant. And Wall-E. Wall-E is a very, very cute, very wholesome film with a brilliant concept. It's an eco-friendly film that really doesn't shove the message in your face to a point where it gets annoying. It knows that it's a movie first, and it doesn't shove the message down your throat to a point where it gets annoying. It's such a well-handled film. And I love, it's a film with two leads who barely talk, yet you get so much character out of both of them without much dialogue. And I'd say, character-wise, these are probably two of my favorite characters Pixar has done. Because they're so cute. They're so cute together. I love them so much. And I love the ship. I think the Axiom is such a creative environment. It's such a beautiful film, and it's so wholesome and charming and lighthearted, and it's just such a good movie. I'd put it... And I'll put it under Lion King. I'd say that's definitely an A-ranked Pixar film. Up. Up is... I don't know. Up to me is a movie that I've never 100% gotten a lot of the praise that Up gets. Not in that I think Up is bad. I just think Up to me just kind of feels like a standard adventure movie with not a lot that's that memorable about it. And also there's some things that really annoy me because I'm going to be honest, I really don't care for the kid. I think the kid kind of brings the movie down. I think if the movie was just about Carl and the dog, I probably would like the movie a little bit more. Like, that being said, there are things I do really like about it. The opening, as everybody says, is amazing. It's just fucking amazing. It's one of the best things Pixar's ever done. Like it could have been a short in and of itself with how good it was. That being said, I'd say with Up, I'll put it above Frozen 2. Or like, again, I like it, but it's not a movie I go back to that much. Toy Story 3 is a movie that I honestly feel very similarly about, and I feel like that's probably the hottest take I have on here, in that I think Toy Story 3 is just okay. I actually think it's kind of weird, where I think it's actually gotten worse the more I watch it. Not that it's, again, I preface this a lot, not that it's bad, but I think it's, I don't know, I think the tone is way... I don't like how it really feels very tonally imbalanced, where I think the movie's just very unpleasant to look at. Like, it's a lot of very dark colors, a lot of grays and browns and greens and blues, and I don't know. I think the film just feels very... just kind of unpleasant. Like, I do like it, but I'd say it's bordering on above, just kind of average to me more than anything. I'd say I'd put it at like a high C. I'd say it's probably like the highest C, which again is probably my hottest take on this entire thing. I don't know. Toy Story 3 is just a movie where every time I've watched it, it just really doesn't resonate with me a whole lot, especially the ending. Like I don't know. I just never have had this very heavy emotional connection with the film like some other people do, which is so funny to me because I love Toy Story 2 and I love the first Toy Story, but it's Toy Story 3 to me just kind of doesn't really feel that memorable to me. Hey, James. James. Holy shit. Say, James, you are very loud. There we go. There we go. I'm on the Pixar movies right now.
Oh, we're doing that?
Yeah. Cars 2. Yeah, no. Where did I put that? Let's see. Because I've been going 2 hours now. Yeah, no, that's going high D. Or I'd say higher than Bolt. Cars 2 is a terrible fucking movie. But Cars 2, I enjoy in a way where it's almost so bad it's good. It's almost so bad it's good. But it has just too many things that annoy the shit out of me. Especially with the fact that it's too much Larry the Cable Guy. It's too much. That's kind of the whole movie in a nutshell. It's just too much. To the point that I just find it really funny that even Cars 3 doesn't even acknowledge anything in the film.
You see, is this one with a spy angle?
Yes.
Should have done more with that.
Let's see. Brave. That... I'll put it below. I've got to be honest, I really don't like Brave. I think Brave is one of the most generic, like, princess movies I've ever seen. Like, fantasy adventure films, I don't like it. I don't like the lead. I honestly really hate the lead of the film. I just don't like much about it. I think most of the characters aren't that memorable outside of Billy Connolly. I think the plot's really generic. I don't like the dynamic with the mom and the daughter. I don't think that Merida ever becomes that likable throughout the entire film. Like, it's not fun. It's just a really boring, generic fantasy film.
The main reason I don't care for it is because a little spike going on.
Monsters University. Another movie. Monsters University, I'd say, is better than the other two films, but it's a film that I feel like honestly does a lot less than the first movie did, which is kind of one of the things that annoys me a lot about Monsters University, in that I feel like a lot of the designs aren't as creative as in the first one. The college premise doesn't really add much, and honestly, I can think of a lot funnier college movies than Monsters University. I really don't like Sully and Mike in the movie. I don't like the characterization. And I know that it's supposed to be a prequel, so they're supposed to be acting different than how they act later, but there's just something about the movie where I really don't like the two of them, especially when they try to connect later on, which is funny because I like the side characters in the movie. I think a lot of the side characters are a lot of fun. I just don't care for the two leads. And I don't think it's as funny as I think it's trying to be. I'd say I'd put it at a very low C.
I've never seen it.
Inside Out. Very fun. Very, very fun. Very creative. I'd say probably, I mean, not even as a joke. I think Inside Out is one of the most emotional of the Pixar films. It's definitely the one that tackles the most depressing themes comparative to some of the other movies. I really like the core emotions. I think everything in that movie is very colorful, and it's not overstimulating levels of color. It's just a very good balance, and everything pops in the way that it should. And there's never a point where it looks oversaturated or just annoying to look at. It's a very colorful, fun movie that is both funny and probably one of the saddest of the Pixar films. I would put that in the low A. It's a very low A. Good Dinosaur. Good Dinosaur is probably one of the most mediocre of the films. I'd say I'd probably put it at like a high D. I wasn't bored through the movie, but I really don't care for the two leads. I think Arlo's kind of annoying. I like the world and how weird a lot of the side characters are. And the movie looks great. It's just I really don't care that much for the two lead characters. I like the side characters a lot more than I like the ones that we have to follow the most. Finding Dory. I had said earlier Finding Nemo is one of my top 3 Pixar films. So I remember when Finding Dory was coming out, I had a lot of skepticism because Finding Nemo to me was something where I really wanted to see the characters again for a long time, but I didn't really want a sequel. And Finding Dory to me was something I was very cautiously optimistic because I was like, I want to see these characters again, but I didn't really want a sequel. I wanted more like a show or something. That being said, Finding Dory is very good. I don't think it's Finding Nemo good. I don't think it's close to that range, but I would say it's probably teetering on a B+. I like a lot of the new characters. I like the aquarium aspect of it. I think that actually allows for a lot of creative ideas with the Finding Nemo characters. And I like that they really delve into Dory's psychology, which I honestly didn't expect the film to go that deep into it, but it really goes into a lot of those ideas, especially the ideas of like abandonment and mental problems and things like that. It's a very well done film. I'd put it I'll put it at like the high, like a high B, like a B+. Cars 3, better than it has any reason to be. I was actually kind of shocked because Cars 3 was the movie I was the most cautious of, I think, of every Pixar film ever made, because with Cars 2 being one of the worst, I'd say Cars 3 has the added benefit of it is able to take a lot of the elements of the first Cars and really expand upon them, but it has much more emotional themes, and it brings up the concept of aging and when your time has come to retire, and it's oh my god, it handles a lot of things better than I would think a Cars sequel would, but it's to a point where I genuinely think I like Cars 3 more than the first Cars. I just think it handles character dynamics so well. It has much more of an emotional core to it than the first one. I'd say probably the most of any of the Cars films. And I really like the ending. I'd say the ending might be one of my favorite endings of any Pixar film because it doesn't go the way you think it's going to go. It really goes in a way that is very heartwarming, but also very emotional at the same time. I would put Cars 3, I'd say above Aladdin. Say a very good movie. Coco, I've said this whole stream, like since Finding Nemo's been brought up, Finding Nemo is my favorite Pixar film. It was my favorite Pixar film. That was until Coco came out. Coco is the most I have cried at an animated film in a very long time. I cried a good 2 or 3 times in that film. Oh, James died. Oh, hopefully his connection will be back. But, you know, Coco is one of the best animated films of the last 10 years to me. And Coco, it's one of those things where I was very worried about it when it came out because Book of Life had come out 2 years before, and I was getting vibes of, because I love Book of Life a lot. I think Book of Life is a fantastic film, but I was getting very worried because I was thinking, oh, is this just going to follow a lot of the same beats? And I was getting very worried that Coco was going to overshadow Book of Life because it was Pixar, so it was obviously going to make a shit ton of money. And I was thinking, oh, so now this movie that I really, really liked is going to get overshadowed by Coco. Coco is one, as I've said, is one of the best animated films of the last 10 years. I love this movie so much. It is so beautiful. It's so creative. I'd say it has the best family dynamic of any Pixar film, and that's Incredibles included. I love how this film handles everything. It's beautiful. The music is fucking phenomenal. I love how the music is done in relation to the plot. I love the villain. This is probably my favorite twist villain of any of the modern Disney or Pixar films. It's such a good, and he's a great character, and it's a great twist. I love the relationship between Hector, and I just blanked on the kid's name. Shit, I just blanked on the main kid. But no, I love the relationship between Hector and the main character. I love those two. They have such a good chemistry together, and they're so much fun together. And I like that the film takes such an emotional dive in the third act, and it just gets so... It just elevates the film so much from a film that's already so much fun and has had so many emotional moments to one of the best films of the last decade. It's a fantastic movie. Okay, next. Incredibles 2. I'd say a film that I genuinely like just as much, if not a little more than the first one. I think Incredibles 2, I know some people didn't care for it, but to me, Incredibles 2, I think expanded on everything the first film did. I can understand not liking it as much as the first one, and I do agree, I think the film would have been more interesting if it took place years later compared to the first film, because I feel like there could have been more interesting character dynamics in that regard. Hell, even how different the world could have been. But like with the first film, I love the vintage aesthetic while still having a lot of future technology. I love the use of color in this movie is so fucking good, and I love how far the animation has gone to see how different these animation models have gotten. It's a lot like Finding Nemo, where I like seeing how much animation has changed since the first movie to see how much different these character models have improved. And it's, again, like the first film, I love the dynamic of these characters. I'd say the one kind of weak part is the villain, and I don't think they're bad, but I'd say that's like the one part of the film where I feel like it could have been tweaked a little bit more. But that being said, I think they're both great movies. Toy Story 4. I feel like this might be a hot take. I fucking love Toy Story 4. In fact, I might like Toy Story 4 more than the first one. And Toy Story 4 made me cry like a bitch. Unlike the third, which I'm going to be honest, third one didn't make me cry. Toy Story 4 made me cry like a bitch. And I've watched it 5 times, and I cry every time at the ending. I love how this movie does everything. I love the new characters. The only thing I don't like about this movie is I don't like how it does Buzz. Because there's just something about how they do Buzz in this movie that really annoys me. Even though I love most everything about it. I would say this is probably the funniest Toy Story movie. I really like how they really go all into the comedy, and I really like how much I really like how much Woody and Bo have changed, but they still have this really great chemistry together. And I love the ending fucking hits you in the dick like 3 times. It makes me cry every single time I've watched it. And again, it's just a really solid, fun movie. Is it necessary? No, but I'm happy it exists. It's a really fun movie that I really, really like. Onward. Onward is a movie I wanted to like a lot more than I did, but it came off feeling kind of generic to me. It's not bad, but I'd say it falls under the more okay movies to me, where I think that the movie could have been a lot more creative if it had I feel like if it had better writing, it could have been a lot more creative, because I feel like they don't really do enough with the world that it makes. Because I feel like this is a really great concept for a movie. I just feel like they don't go as far with it as they should. That, and also, I don't think any of the characters are all that stand out. Again, I don't think any of them are bad, but I don't really think any of them are that great. I'd say I'd probably put this above Ralph Breaks the Internet. And Luca. Luca, to me, is the closest thing to a Studio Ghibli film I think Pixar has ever made. I love Luca. I think it's such a nice, cute, wholesome movie, which, again, it feels the most like a Ghibli film than any other Pixar film. I think it really nails the balance of fantasy and reality. I love the setting in Italy. I think it's so beautifully colorful. I love all the warm colors that this world has. I really love the dynamic with all three of the characters. The third act is a lot of fun. And again, I just really like these characters. I think it's some of the most charming leads that have been in a Pixar film in a while. I put it just above WALL-E. Soul. Yeah, very creative idea, and I think it does a lot with that idea, and it works really, really well. I really like Jamie Foxx in the lead role. I really like Tina Fey. I really like the world that they make, the afterlife. I really like how they do the afterlife. I like the concept of souls have to have a quirk before they go down to Earth. I like that there's one soul who doesn't want to go to Earth. I like that the movie questions a lot of ideas about fate, about mortality. I like the idea of it questioning, like, how you should live your life. I think the movie's really funny. The backgrounds in this movie are some of the best I've ever seen in a Pixar film. They look almost photoreal with how good they look. It's just a generally very likable movie. I'd put it just under the first Toy Story. Have Turning Red, which also, it's such a fun, cute movie, and I love the characters. It's a great movie. I've watched it. I think I watched it a couple months ago. I've watched it probably like 3 or 4 times since it came out. I remember after it came out, I watched it, I think, like a week later, because it's such a fun movie. I really like the characters, and it has a 90s setting, but it never gets annoying. It never feels like it's being referential or dated to a point where it's like, hey, remember this 90s thing? It knows how to use its environment well, and it really has a very likable cast. And I love again, like Pixar, the family dynamic is great. I love the way it handles generational trauma. I think it does that phenomenally well, especially with the mother. But I don't know. Again, I'd say I don't really know. Where should I put this? I'd say I'd put it I'll put it at a high B. I won't quite put it in an A, but I'd say it's teetering on an A. It's just a very, no. Yeah, I'll put it at low A. I really like it. I think it's a very fun movie. I like all the characters. It's very funny. And again, I just really like how it handles a lot of the emotional moments, and I think it's a very funny movie. I'd say it's probably the funniest Pixar film, in my opinion. I'd say it's probably the one I've laughed at the most. And finally, we have Lightyear, which I've gone on and on and on about Lightyear before in the past, where I don't think Lightyear is a terrible movie, but it's to a point where especially since we have something to compare it to because we had the Buzz Lightyear of Star Command cartoon. I feel like this is a film you should have had a lot more fun with. And the problem is that we're stuck on a boring planet. We don't get to see any aliens really outside of a couple examples. It's a film where I feel like this should have been a fun sci-fi adventure movie, and it's not. It's a film where we're stuck on this boring planet where it's not that funny. It doesn't have a lot of comedy in it until the second act, and even then, I don't care for the comedic characters. It's something where I couldn't not compare it to Buzz Lightyear of Star Command because that show did everything I think a Buzz Lightyear movie should have been, and this wasn't it. Also, the twist. The Zurg twist is something where I don't think it's horrendous because I could have seen how this idea could have worked. But the problem is that the movie constantly feels like it's trying to backpedal on a lot of things that the Toy Story movies or even other things with Buzz have set up, and it really doesn't work. I'd say it's probably one of the most generic sci-fi films I've ever seen. And for that, I'd say I'd probably put it above The Black Cauldron, but under The Good Dinosaur, where it's not the worst film Pixar's ever made, but there's just too many problems with it for me to rank it any higher. And yeah, that's it. And I think we went almost 2.5 hours with this. So yeah, thank you for coming. I don't know what I'm going to stream next. I'm probably going to stream a game of some kind. But yeah, thank you for joining everyone, and have a good rest of your night.